What's going on, guys? Mike Murtis, Gamer Logic, and today's question I have for you is, what is on your retro gaming wish list? You know, I'm starting to get real close to finalizing my retro game collection, my library, after so many years. And you know, I use the term finalizing very loosely because it'll always happen. I'll go to a store, I'll go to a convention, I'll go to a flea market, and I'll see something and go, oh man, I completely forgot about that. Or maybe this wasn't available on North American shores and I got to pick it up. So I use the term loosely, but I'm really slowing down as far as picking up a lot of these retro games. I mean, I can say that over the last 2-3 years, I've been pretty slow at picking up games, and you know, now I'm really getting down to the nitty-gritty, if you will. I've gotten rid of a ton of stuff that I had no intention of really playing, but I picked it up and traded it or sold it, and now I'm just down to the platforms that I like to play, that I enjoy, and play them on a regular basis. So I went ahead and set up a wish list of about 50 games this year, and I'm hoping to get a good bit of them. Some of them are up there in terms of price, so realistically, unless I find a great deal on it or get it in a trade, I most likely won't pick them up. But yeah, I've already been 2 months into this list, and I already found about 15 games out of that 50 game list, which is awesome. But just an example of some of the games I'm looking for. Funny enough, there's only 4 games on the Genesis brand of platforms that I'm looking to pick up. Probably the two biggest, Phantasy Star 1, I have Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4. 4 I played during Christmas for the first time ever. Really sat down and played a Phantasy Star game, and man, I was absolutely blown away by Phantasy Star 4. It's right up there with Final Fantasy 3/6 to me. I wish I would have had someone around me that was into the Phantasy Star games back in the 16-bit console wars, because man, I would have swapped my Super Nintendo with a Genesis between the guy, just so he could play Final Fantasy and I could play Phantasy Star 4. But I love that game, so I kind of want to get the first Phantasy Star just to complete the original 8-bit, 16-bit collection of them and play it. And I'd like to play it on the original hardware if possible. I know it's been re-released a couple of times, and actually I think I have the Phantasy Star collection, so if I wanted to go back to 1, I think I could, probably on the Game Boy Advance, which that might be the route I take depending on what I can find for prices. But the other one is Master of Darkness, and I have a Game Gear card of that. That's the only version I have it on, and I actually want the original Master System version, just because that is a fun Castlevania clone. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a review of it. Check it out on the channel. Great game, great Castlevania clone. A masterpiece on the Master System, if you excuse the pun there, but just a great game. Just a few other ones on my list. NES is probably one of the biggest ones. I'm looking for stuff. G.I. Joe, the first one. Gun Knack, that's going to be an expensive one, so I doubt I'll pick it up. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I don't think it's the Taito version. I think Mindscape did the other version of it. All I know, it's the one you actually start on the ship instead of the mine. That was the one I played, even though it's not a great game. Hopefully I can find that one for cheap. Wizards and Warriors 3, Kyros Visions of Power. I have never seen that game in person. I've never even played it. But I loved Iron Sword, so I'm interested in that one. Mighty Bomb Jack's another one. Monster in My Pocket was a fun 2-player side-scrolling game by Konami, released in 1992 on the NES. And that one I want to play again. Gotta laugh at the name, though. Monster in My Pocket. Good God. I thought it was Monsters in My Pocket, but maybe I just put it in the wish list wrong. Shadow of the Ninja is another one. I have the Game Boy version, even though that's actually Ninja Gaiden Shadow, but want to play that. Looking for Stanley, The Search for Dr. Livingston, I think it is. And that was a weird one. I remember seeing that in a 1992 issue of Nintendo Power and just being like, wow, this is so weird looking. I want to check this out. So kind of want to get that one. In Zombie Nation is another one. I used to rent that all the time, and I owned it at one point, and I don't know what happened to it. It disappeared in the 90s, unfortunately for me, so I want to pick that one up. And that one, I think, is jumped up in price. PlayStation wise, there's two I'm looking for. Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix is one. I love the first one, never played the second one, so want to pick that up. Ghost in the Shell, the original PlayStation 1 release, I had that, don't know what happened to that unfortunately. Super Nintendo, there's a couple I'm looking for. The big ones, Aliens vs. Predator, or Alien vs. Predator, Blackthorn, Metal Warriors, which will probably never happen unless I get lucky on that one. Way too much money. Nosferatu and Sonic Blastman 2. Sonic Blastman 2 is really fun. I like the first one. 2 is really great. And Nosferatu was an interesting Prince of Persia thing. A lot of these have popped up on Game Center CX lately, so that's why I've been wanting to play them, especially like Mighty Bomb Jack and stuff. There's a couple for Turbo Duo that I know I'm probably going to pay out the butt for. So they're low on my list, but I want to check out both Exile games, Exile and then Exile Wicked Phenomena, which apparently found out that that's a third game in the series. The first one, which XR2 maybe, that's off the top of my head, never came out over here, but want to check out the Exile games on the TURBOGRAFX-CD, and there's a couple other ones. Beyond Shadowgate, I think maybe I already mentioned, ton of money there. I just don't feel like dropping hundreds of dollars on one game, if you know what I mean. So I'd have to find a good deal on that. But I'm curious to find out what your guys' wish list is for retro games, and if there's any big ones you're looking for. So that's all I got, guys. Take it easy.